the major concerns right now in Pennsylvania is the loss of productive farmland to growth. And while a lot of modern housing developments are springing up across the state, there's at least one group of builders that's taking that trade back in time a couple of hundred years.
In case you haven't noticed, there's a building boom going on around here. But you know, while modern technology allows people to put up a new house in just, say, a matter of weeks, there's a centuries-old building style that's making a big comeback in this country.
Oh, it dates back to actually before the birth of Christ.
Any pride in your work, you have to do a really good job.
It's an interesting mix of the very old with the very new.
If you try to explain just what a timber frame home is to somebody who doesn't understand the concept, well, you can expect a lot of strange looks. But show that same person a timber frame home, and you can expect some oohs and ahs. About 20 years ago, with the exception of Amish builders, there were hardly any timber frame builders left in America. Quicker and less expensive forms of building had been adopted, using easy-to-handle and less expensive 2x4 sticks of lumber. Well, the Back to the Land movement of the 60s and early 70s brought about a rebirth of this classic style, and today there are about 700 or so timber framers in the U.S. Bruce Simmons, Tony Zaya, and Charlie Browning design and construct timber frame homes in central Pennsylvania and run Wood Butcher's Custom Timber Framing. These days, that name alone raises a few eyebrows.
Years ago, carpenters that did this type of work were referred to as wood butchers, and we tried to emulate the work of the older carpenters, really, and thought that that would be a fitting start anyway.
Now, building a house is challenging enough, but a house frame that has no nails is a craft that comes close to an art form.
No nails, all tree nails they're called, which are 1-inch oak pegs. But we use are kiln dried, and that holds the entire structure of that in the joint.
If you've ever built a house from the ground up, you know one of the hardest parts for the owner is the weight. Well, timber framing is no different. Weighting is still the hard part. But after 5 weeks or so of carving, the house frame goes up quickly.
Well, the art of timber framing all but disappeared for a few reasons. Number one, it's very intensive in labor, and the beams are big and heavy, hard to work with sometimes. Then once they got up, what did you fill in the spaces with? Well, the answer seems to be stress skin. They're 4x8 sheets of drywall laminated right to the house's insulation and the exterior sideboard. It's a great insulator.
The stress skin is probably the single most important thing in the catapulting of the timber frame back into popularity. People now are starting to see that maybe spending a little bit more and having a structure that can pass on from generation to generation may be worth the added cost.
And the final product is a piece of work that can last for 1,000 years. From the outside, a timber frame home might look like any other. But inside, the craftsman's work is on display for all the generations to come.
Well, a little exterior siding work on this place, and we'll be ready to call this house a home.
So, Doug, that's your house they were working on.
Yes, it is, right.
Well, it is beautiful. You must be excited.
Thanks. We can't wait to move in fact. You know what else is interesting, Nancy, is that last year the Timber Framers Guild of America chose Elizabethtown College as their annual meeting place, and it went over so big, it looks like all 700 or so members will be coming back again this year.
Great. Let's take a look at tomorrow night's PM Magazine.
Patricia Hearst.
I'm still really angry with my kidnappers.
Oliver North.
I have been accused of trying to rescue American hostages.
Watergate felon John Ehrlichman.
In a literal sense, that's true.
On the next PM Magazine, find out why they're hoping for a presidential pardon.